going on, Jeromes? Beautiful day for some Q&A, baby. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions on the community tab. Periodically, we'll toss it out there, blah, blah, blah. First up is Nugs. First off, I love the show. Thank you. I keep hearing this is a deep running back class for the draft. Yeesh. What's some of your early draft crushes that fit with what Kevin O'Connell is trying to do offensively? So this isn't a like a tier one, like top running back class. Like there's no Bergeons, there's no Jahmyr Gibbs in this class, although Genty's pretty damn good. But in terms of could you find 10 to a dozen running backs that contribute in some fashion during their career? Yeah. I think this is going to be a great draft, especially the different types of running backs in this class are really good. So obviously Genty, despite his performance against Penn State, is still tier one. He'll be running back one. I think he'll be the only running back taken in the first round. Could he get to the Vikings at 24? Certainly possible, but also in terms of what kind of running back the Vikings want. So first off, the Vikings have to fix interior offensive line. Ideally, that's going to happen in free agency, and we've been banging this drum for a while. Interior offensive line, cornerback in free agency, interior D-line, and running back in the draft. It's two great spots, two great positions in the draft in terms of depth at running back, interior defensive line, and interior O-line and cornerback. Just get guys that that can play, and the Vikings have the cap space to do that. But the rest of it, so obviously Genty's 1-1, but I'm still looking for that punch you in the face type running back, especially if and when the Vikings build an FU offensive line. And I wouldn't mind if Aaron Jones is back at a reduced rate and a smaller role, but I also want me some Cam Akers back. I'll also, if you pair Akers with just a power back, I would love it. So you're looking at Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. He's not a breakaway speed guy, but he is a runner with great patience, great size, great vision, and whatnot. Singleton from Penn State's going to be a name to watch as well. I really like Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. And also, two running backs you're going to see tonight, Judkins, as well as Henderson from Ohio State. Judkins is really fascinating to me because I loved him at Ole Miss. I think that he could make an impact very early on in the National Football League as well. But obviously Scadabo is in there. It's really hard to classify what Scadabo is going to be, right? And he's going to have a role somewhere in this league, but I don't know. But he's very easy to like. So we'll go from there. But, yeah, it's a great spot for running backs in this class, and the Vikings are in really good position to add one of them. Next. Speaking of fixing the interior offensive line, Ishan Dawade. Nailed it. After the display Mekhi Becton put on tonight versus the Rams, do you think it's possible for us to sign both him and Trey Smith? Money-wise, I think it'll be Trey Smith is going to get $20 million a year. I think Becton and Tevin Jenkins of the Bears, I think we'll get 12 to 14 somewhere in there. Do the Vikings take a couple big swings at guard? I think they should. Yes. Now Trey Smith for me is still 1-1, but if the Vikings somehow came away with Tevin Jenkins at left guard and Mekhi Becton at right guard, baby, certainly we'd have a stew going. Now, schematically, Jenkins and Becton can move enough where there wouldn't be a hindrance in outside zone, but you got power. You got diesel. You got absolutely everything, man. And Becton, you could say, sure, he's a one-hit wonder. Yes, kicking inside, all that stuff, but he's been really damn solid, including in pass protection. Now, part of that could be, he's been lining up next to Lane Johnson, as well as Cam Jurgens is no slouch at center, replacing Jason Kelsey. But, Becton's been a boss, man. He's been absolutely fantastic. And I just want that FU. It's 4th and 1. You're not going to stop us. 4-minute offense. We got to run the ball. We're going to do that. Just being able to run the ball when you want to. That's been something that's missing from the Kevin O'Connell offense over the last 3 years. And just building an offensive line that's going to shield J.J. McCarthy. I need it. Got to have it, man. Next, will the Lions fall off need to be studied? You can make a good case that the Lions probably should have won back-to-back Super Bowls. And I will say this. If the Lions had held on to their massive lead against the 49ers in the NFC title game, I think that they boat race the Chiefs. I think they absolutely get it done and dusted. And then this year, one and done. Yes, a lot of injuries, but they just didn't show up against the Commanders. So I think that they are headed towards a fall off. I mean, Super Bowl windows open, they close really quick. Look at San Francisco and look at Detroit. So brain drain is part of it. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn gone. They're gonna have some cap issues coming up as well. That's what happens when you pay Jared Goff $53 million a year. And I think it's over. I think it's over for the Lions. I think that they will revert to a good but not great, 9-10 win team. They'll be in the mix, but having this juggernaut type squad, I don't think that they're going to be able to maintain it. I think that they are done and dusted. But hey, at least ticket prices went up for 2 straight years. It's going to happen. But yeah, I mean that's what it's sort of akin to. Remember when the Tennessee Titans were really good, with Jeff Fisher? Not so much the Super Bowl loss to the Rams, but in the mid 2000s. They were bullies. They were consistently the 1 and 2 seed. They had great squads with McNair and Eddie George, but then close. And I think that's what the early or mid 2000s Lions are going to be remembered as mid. Next, John Merck. How will Addison disappoint us this offseason? I hope not. All right, so Addison, last 2 off seasons, he had the speeding ticket, and then of course, last off season the much more serious DUI. So hopefully he's learned, and I think that he has greatly matured this season. I think that he's been a lot more open to. I think that he is maturing, and also I think that Jefferson taking on a bit more of a leader mentor role. I think that Addison has really accepted that. So hopefully he keeps his nose clean because the kid is super talented. He is likely going to get his DUI case adjudicated and is probably going to have to serve at least a 3-game suspension next year is what it is. But hopefully Addison is going to be good to go because he honestly has great talent, and I think that he is a good kid at heart, but has made mistakes, and so hopefully that all gets cleared up. Yeah. Lastly, Christian Augustine, who's your number 1 ideal first-round pick in the draft? It has to be a realistic pick, of course. Deion Walker, the nose tackle from Kentucky. He's got size. He can 2-gap. He can pass rush. So I really like Jordan Davis coming out of Georgia a couple years ago. Went to Philly. Is doing some great things, but Deion Walker's a souped-up Jordan Davis, and I think that he would transform the interior. Yes, he would still have to work in terms of having a prodigious pass rusher, but Walker's going to be a 3-down player. Walker, I think his ceiling is prime Linval Joseph, where Linval, 2017, 2018 Vikings, stop the run, also get a little bit of a pass rush on 3rd down. I absolutely love that, man. Of course, Ashton Jeanty is going to be in that mix as well. We'll see what happens in terms of what running backs do in the draft. But, Jeanty, Deion Walker, absolutely be fine with either of those guys. There's going to be about a dozen players I'm perfectly fine taking at 24. That's why, even though people don't like it, the whole trade down thing, I think this year could be a lot more viable than most since the Vikings are bereft of picks day 2. And the meat of this draft is going to be back end of the first round all the way to the top of the 3rd. So getting as many swings at the bat there is going to make some sense. But that's it. Q&A. It's a beautiful day. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.